Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
I'm Sarah, and this is Rod.
And we four are here to give you this week's reading recommendations for New Comic Book Day. And Sarah, you got your hands full, so we'll start with Fritz.
So my pick this week is HAWKGIRL Nº. Started the new HAWKGIRL miniseries, part of their whole Dawn DC initiative. And this is probably, I don't know, her first solo title of any kind in, I want to say 15 something years, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, because I think last time was when she took over the main Hawkman title after 1 year later, back after Infinite Crisis.
Yeah, okay.
So it's been a hot minute. She's she shows up in other stuff. She was in Snyder's Justice League, which they kind of touch on here. She was in kind of the earlier part of Jeff Johns' Justice Society back in the early 2000s. And that's one of the things that they kind of get into in this is Kendra's at a bit of a crossroads in her life. She's basically done everything you can as a superhero. She's lived thousands of lifetimes due to the whole Hawks being reincarnated thing. So she's if there's something you can do in your life, she's done, and she's just kind of not sure what to do anymore. And all of her friends are kind of checking up on her. There's this great opening fight sequence where it's her and a bunch of there's Superman, Power Girl, Black Canary. They're all fighting these weird flame aliens that they're just they somehow are both simultaneously kind of goofy but threatening at the same time. Mm-hmm. And they're all just hey, we're here for you, and as the Hawks tend to be, she's a little stubborn about it. I don't know, I love the voice for everyone in this book is really good. I especially love how they write her, because if you grew up a lot of people around my age, you grew up watching the Justice League comic or Justice League show, you remember HAWKGIRL from that, and there's a bit of that in here with how she's I do it my way, I hit first, ask questions later kind of deal. Yep. But there's definitely more to her than that. There's this kind of introspective side of her that's trying to figure out what do I want in life, now that she's, because a lot of female characters, she's also always been defined by things in relation to her, whether it be Hawkman or whatever team she's on at the time, and right now she doesn't have either of those things, so that's part of what she's trying to figure out. There's a bunch of other new characters being introduced in this. One not quite as new, the character Galaxy. She had her own graphic novel. I think we've got copies of still here.
Mm-hmm. I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that she's fun. The way she helps them beat the aliens, and they're just wait, did you kill them? And she's I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, then HAWKGIRL berates her, and she's well, you were smashing them in the face with your mace.
Yeah. Yeah, they've already got a fun little dynamic. She's also got a talking corgi, so that's great.
Yep.
But they're fun. The villain, I'm not sure what their deal is, but it's weird timey-wimey magical stuff, and that's very
there's a very fairy tale element to that whole thing, and
especially
way
the narration.
The narrator is setting stuff up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was saying to you earlier, the lettering on this in particular, I really love the way they'll use the negative space and shadows to have these little text blocks, or the way they'll trail off sentences with how they'll do word bubbles to kind of show how someone's uncomfortable in the situation. It's it's really good. Some of the best I've seen of that in a while.
Yeah, it really helped set tonally what was happening in the dialogue, so that you get a little more context for it. But who's the writer on this one again?
Jadzia Axelrod, I believe is her name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yes. I'm not. What else have they done?
I think this and the Galaxy graphic novel are the two main things she's done before. But
I'm really impressed with the deftness of the storytelling, because there's a lot happening here, and you're right. Getting the voices right, this kind of fairy tale setup for everything, with the way that the narrator is explaining the backstory for this. All the different characters' takes on things. And then also just setting up some really good inter-character dynamics for what can be a compelling story. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a very brief sequence of Kendra and Batman talking, and you get such
Yes, Rod also.
You get such a good feel for their dynamic of just even like Batman, his brief appearance, like gets his voice down so good in here, but then like their interaction is this, like you can tell like they've got this like understanding of each other, and like they like appreciate each other's like skills, and I don't know, I don't know. I really hope this sells well. They've been very open about like if it does, like it might get up from a miniseries to an ongoing, kind of like Green Arrow did recently. So like, hey, if you want more HAWKGIRL, make sure to not only buy but also like subscribe, so that way they know like the demand is out there. Like
so we can get the orders in for you. For sure. Well, thank you, Fritz. That was the art in this is a lot of fun.
Also, the art is like great. Like. People getting smashed with a mace never look so good.
Yep. But obviously, Rod's got a lot to say, so let's move on to our next book.
So I know y'all will be shocked, but this week I'm picking I Hate Fairyland #7.
Wait a minute. I thought that we had agreed off camera that you can't pick I Hate Fairyland anymore.
Is that why I'm not allowed to pick X-Men books for a while?
Yes.
As Robin would say, psych! It is actually a really good book. I know you're shocked I loved it. But this week I actually picked Scrapper #1, which is also an Image title. Oh my goodness. So I'll formulate my words here, but it's essentially these two dogs who are like, seem to be trying to fight some crime in the nighttime, and they can talk, which is, super cool. They find this little girl who's been kidnapped by a drug guy, and they save her. And I'm not really spoiling much because it happens pretty early in the comic, but and she's like amazed, and she's like, I found a talking dog when she gets back to her parents, and they're like, don't tell lies. She feel a little bad for her, but as you can tell, even just from the cover, it has like a Blade Runner kind of feel to it, like that kind of world. But the creator, I don't want to say his name wrong, Cliff Bleszinski?
Yep.
I believe.
I would say that.
I was reading the back, I was telling Fritz about it. He's worn all sorts of hats, it sounds like. He's created video games for like 25 years. He's a co-producer of the musical Hades on Broadway right now. Hadestown on Broadway right now. But I think this, from what I could tell, this is his first comic. But I thought it was really good for like a first stab at that kind of format and stuff. But the art by Alex DeCampi is awesome. It very much captures this vibe of, like I said, it feels very Blade Runner-esque, but it's this dystopian type world where this company is essentially trying to take over. They just want all the property, basically.
Oh, sure.
So they don't really care about people. And they're just, kicking people out.
Or dogs, apparently.
So by the end, it has quite a twist. But this dog doesn't know where he's from. He has an adoptive family, essentially, who he was in, some garbage cans looking for food. And they found him and they pet him, and he changes colors. Oh, it's like this very strange thing. Yeah. So they found him when he was a puppy. So that's kind of like a flashback montage. And they're like, oh, it must be one of those rich, fancy people dogs or whatever. And by the end, you kind of find out where he came from. And it's totally not what I expected. So it's a very interesting tale. And like I said, who doesn't love a talking dog, right? You can't miss out with it. So I would highly, highly recommend Scrapper #1. So would Rod. Yeah, he really thought the dogs were cool. So
now, Patrick, the real question is, we're 2-0 in terms of good comics for talking dogs. Is your
So I was sitting here questioning my pick as you guys were going, because obviously,
Is it thematic?
No, I did not. Which, but he does have a dog, just not in this book. I picked Night Terror's Superman #1. No crypto appearance in this, spoiler alert, but this was a lot of fun. So I picked what did I pick? The main Night Terrors book last week.
You picked a couple of Night Terrors ones, yeah.
And I was, behind the scenes, I was really poo-pooing the whole Night Terrors thing. I just was not excited about it. I was like, another DC event book. But this each of these books, because they're the way that this whole event is set up, where the whole world basically falls asleep, and the villain is searching for this item in everybody's dreams, and they believe that it's hidden probably in a superhero's dreams. It makes it so that you can have this kind of side story in the middle of the continuity and have it work really well. So in each book, each superhero is facing their dreams. Now, I will throw out the asterisks. None of the books with the dreams are particularly scary, I don't think. You know, like, it's hard, that's really hard to be able to convey that. But the creators as a whole are doing a pretty good job of nothing really makes sense in dreams. So so in this one in particular, people's outfits are changing from panel to panel, and there's this real fluidity. And that works really well. And now Superman, because at the beginning of the event was there with Batman and Wonder Woman when they kind of realized that something was going down, has got an inclination that what is happening to him is not real. So that's kind of the premise for this. It's Tom Riley, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Tom Riley. The art in this book just fits Superman so well. And I think that's, you know, Superman kind of gets dumped on as, oh, he's so basic and he's OP and, you know, like, he's boring. I don't want to read that kind of book. But I think part of the problem is that DC for quite a while wanted to get away from that kind of lantern-jawed Boy Scout look where he's just kind of a hayseed, you know, who's just super nice to everybody. And so they tried to get rid of that clean-cut image and make him something a little different. And that just doesn't work for Superman. No. So when you write Superman correctly and when you draw Superman correctly, like happened in HAWKGIRL this week and like happens in Night Terrors this week, it works really well. And so to me, it was the concept for the event is really good, the writing is really good, and the art is exceptional on this book. And it just kind of, it's going to be a fun little 2-issue moment, blip in Superman that's just kind of a fun little aside without feeling like you're being dragged along this event where it gets bogged down and they're just trying to get you to buy crossover books. And
well, and I think it's nice because I read the Nightwing one this week, which was also really good. But it's nice because, like, you don't have to be reading the main title either to be able to understand what's going on within it. And what I love is that they're being so nice in giving you like a recap of the events. You know, I haven't read a single one yet that I haven't liked. I really liked the Zatanna one. I really, you know.
The Zatanna one was great.
That was really good.
I have really liked all of them too, and I like Wonder Woman was a close second for me this week, and it could have just as easily been called Justice League Dark because that's essentially what it was. And you know, the back and forth between Constantine and Detective Chimp was just
I mean, anytime you put Detective Chimp in something, it's gonna be
so good. He was actually really terrified by something that popped up in the dream. So yeah, it's just an interesting concept, and I think that if more event books kind of happened this way, it kind of reminds me of the very early event books like that Chris Claremont was doing, where it was more of like this crossover thread of a narrative that was going through as opposed to full stop. You must read every single crossover.
But at the same time, it's not like with like the original like Crisis crossovers, like the Red Sky crossovers, where it's like you'd have the banner be like Crisis on Infinite Earths tie-in, and the closest it gets is a character mentions like, the sky's red. Yeah. And then like so like it ties in without like derailing from anything, but like it's like this very perfect middle ground that like so few of these ever hit.
Did you guys ever read any of this? Is going way back, but the Acts of Vengeance stuff. Yeah, so the concept was just like, what if, you know, maybe the reason that we're losing to superheroes isn't because we're losers, it's because we just keep fighting the same superheroes. Maybe we should switch it up. Like, that was just kind of a cool crossover event. I mean, you know, it was just kind of a fun little aside in everybody's
Yeah.
stories.
Well, Marvel's got the one upcoming, which you can, I believe, they're all available to put on your pull list now. Contest of Chaos, where it's a bunch of annuals, where it's like different characters are like getting to fight each other. It looks fun.
It just doesn't feel like a cash grab, I guess. You know, it sounds it
No,
feels
it really
more
doesn't.
like just kind of a fun little, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we saw everybody's nightmares and there's a narrative where they're looking,
and
somebody's looking for something.
And it's fascinating, I think, to see like what those I mean, like I think at a surface level what those people might be scared of, but like I said, when I was reading the Nightwing one, I was like, what is going on?
Well, it turns out Wonder Woman's got some issues. Yeah, it's just all of them are a lot of fun, but in particular, and we were talking earlier about Tom Riley did that Ant-Man mini that Al Ewing wrote, right?
Yeah, that was so
and
good.
what was the other book that you said?
Well, he's going to be doing the Duke miniseries for the whole like Transformers G.I. Joe universe, which White Rivals issue 2 is out this week. There's a very good deep cut for the Transformers cartoon in there. That's all I'll say. But
well, and it's another really big week. I think part of that is just because there's so many, there's so much more depth and width in what's being published. There's certainly superhero stuff, but like Scrapper, there's so many non-superhero books that there's something for
everybody. And even with
to
superhero stuff, you've got these like specific little flavors for things.
Yeah, I read so much last night and this morning, and I liked everything. And I'm not even close to done with what I'm reading this week. So we recommend that you come down and check out the books this week. Also, we love to see you in person. If you're not able to make it in, we have some other alternatives, our website, social media. You can give us a call. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. And unfortunately, only 2 of us will be back next week because Sarah's leaving us for greener pastures. But we've been so thrilled to have you with us for this ride. It's been great. And honestly, I totally expect our viewership to take a pretty steep dip.
I was telling you.
That's why we're trying to lure people in with the cute kid,
Just
subscribe before the kid leaves.
I'll just have a little fun.
Well, there you go. You just gotta promise to keep reading comics.
I can do that.
Yeah, sure. All right.
We have someone else sitting there, and we just like awkwardly like edit her like face like just like a bad overlay, and they'll be doing like random motions to go along with it. Like
We'll just have her head, just a still frame of her head with like 3 different facial expressions. Yeah.
The laughing face will have to be one of them. I think I laugh in like all of these videos. I can't count the many of times I've gone to the edit and the final scene, and I'm like, oh, there's Sarah laughing.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you.
And thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Hello, my ragtime gal. That's all I remember from the song.